Welcome to Soltron. This is the video review for Donbrothers Onitaijin. This is the DX figure. Here's how he looks with his team at his feet, and then these are all other Power Rangers figures that I've customized to give them articulation because these figures usually don't have that. Here he is with the Playmates Voltron and basically the God of Tobot. And the custom Mini-Force Tengu I made and the custom Earth Granner Saber Panther. And the Titan class Grandis I made and a Voyager Cyclonus. And here's a look at the box, and the artwork on this box is just epic. Like, that's the kind of box that really makes you want to buy it. And then of course the back of the box just shows you what's inside. And here's the box for the suit figures, which I bought separate. So here's a close-up of the head sculpt. With the silver and red and the blue eyes, it definitely gives me Gurren Lagann vibes. Like, it's just very cool looking head sculpt. It's got a little bit of a monkey kind of look to it, I think, but the details are very nice, and especially with the samurai helmet. So you can see there's a big samurai motif with the crest here, and then the kind of gold horns here. So overall, he's supposed to be kind of a samurai looking figure, and these are like his shoulder armor, and then basically you have these swords on his back, so like an ornamental samurai armor. And then he's got his hip skirts. When you get to the legs, it doesn't really look like samurai armor anymore. This looks like something out of Tron, and this kind of looks like a Armageddon, Mad Max kind of thing with all the spikes on it. So it kind of falls apart there, and then you get these blue monkey arms with fur on it. So he's not looking much like a samurai, more the core figure, and then the pink wings kind of carry it. And then he's got these awesome kind of boosters on the back, which kind of maybe are sort of like a peach shape. I don't know. But not much going on in the back, not a lot of kibble, so he's looking pretty clean back there. And I really just like how these jut out of the back. It makes him look a little bit more imposing, more interesting. But overall, I would say he's probably an 8, really. Like, he's not very cohesive. He's kind of just all over the place. His aesthetic doesn't really work. I think he would work better if there was maybe some color that all the different parts shared, like some accent color that everything had on it, but there's kind of not. I guess there's this kind of gray, but this has a different gray. So yeah, there's not really a shared color that brings him together cohesively. He just looks like a hodgepodge of different parts, which is okay because I still really like the look of this figure, even though he is kind of messy, to be honest. He doesn't read very well. So something to note, like his chest panels do come off, and there's what looks like going to be some connection joints there. So there's speculation, and he's got some clips on the bottom of his feet too. So there's some speculation that this guy will actually combine with something, and then he's got these clips on the back. He's already enormous, so that would be pretty crazy if he combines with something else. He's already pretty gigantic. He's as big as most fully combined figures. Okay, so these swords on his back obviously come off, and they just look like this, and then they're hollow on the inside. So you can put them together to make them look more cohesive, but then they're pretty thick. The other thing you can do, which is pretty cool, is you can actually use the second clip, and you can make like a longer sword, and then they have these little indents here, which when you open up the monkey hands, it fits in there like that. So he looks pretty good with the combined sword. I think that's a good size for him. But then he's meant to mostly dual wield these swords, which also looks really good. So he's a monstrous looking robot, like very intimidating. And the articulation on this guy is really excellent. So he's got this head that can look up and down. It's got a universal joint, and then it can rotate 360 as well. So he's got great articulation there. He's got these armor joints can fold up out of the way. There is a premium version which has more ratchet joints in the middle. And the premium version also has some better paint apps, but that's pretty much it. It's not a huge difference. And then his arms do go out about that far, so that's 2 clicks out. So it's 1, and then, so it's actually 3 clicks. So 1, 2, 3 positions. And then he does have bicep swivels, which are on kind of a soft ratchet, so you can't really get an in-between. There's enough friction, but it's a little bit difficult. And then he's got, on the elbows, he's got more than 90 degrees, so that's very generous elbows. And then he's got ball joint wrists. So definitely the best, most articulated Sentai robot we've ever had. And then you have to rotate the shoulder armors out of the way to get the shoulder articulation to go, but he can rotate his arms up pretty well. The gorilla head kind of gets in the way. I wish this gorilla head was actually attached to this piece here and just floated, kind of like the Kiji here. You can just rotate the armor out of the way, and then you have plenty of arm articulation, no problem. And then he also does have a waist rotation, so it's not the first time we've had that, but it's very nice. And then the legs is where he starts to lose it a little bit. He has a thigh swivel that can open 1 click. If you try to click it more than that, the thigh just completely comes off. It's been kind of disabled because there's some extra plastic in the way. And then there's this extra plastic tab right here to prevent the thigh from swiveling out. And then if you look at this hip articulation, there's no joint right here, so this actually does not move laterally. He cannot kick his legs out sideways, which is a missed opportunity. So his leg does not go out. It just goes forward and backward. And then the forward and backward articulation is a little sad too. He's got one click forward, 1 click back, and that's it, because these hip skirts just totally get in the way. So it's really weird they didn't make these on hinges, because if you look at it, it's got like a fake faux hinge there. So really these skirts should have articulated out of the way so he could at least sit down. And on the premium version, this has more than 1 click outward. That's like the only difference. And then his knees do bend almost 90 degrees on very strong ratchets. And then finally, he has pivoting feet, which not that useful because he can't get more of an A stance than this because his legs do not spread more than that, unfortunately. So yeah, overall really good articulation. The only thing I think it's missing is more of a leg spread, or the ability to have his legs spread more, and then just having this skirt articulation. I think that's the only thing that really needs to be fixed on this guy. Otherwise his articulation is pretty perfect. Okay, to transform him, we're just going to take his swords and we're going to combine those together. So those have a couple of nice clips. So those combine nice and solidly. You're going to take off these shoulder armors. They peg on to the back of the monkey feet right here. And then you have these 2 sections. And then you can take off the samurai helmet. And then there's also the monkey's abs are right here, so you kind of need both of those. He doesn't have very many gimmicks, but one gimmick he does have is his visor goes down like that for the individual robot modes. And then when you put the helmet on, that's going to raise the visor. And then when you push the torso down, that's going to open up this little section in the middle. So you can kind of do both at the same time, which is really cool. So now this is open, revealing a peach, and then the visor raised to reveal the robot face. So that's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool gimmick that works very nicely, is you kind of just push everything down at once, and that finishes off his transformation at the end. So simple, but it gets the job done. And then you're going to rip off these gorilla arms. You take off the helmet, lower the visor, and then you're just going to rip off the legs as well. And those are just held in by these little clips right here. But they do a good job. You don't have to worry about the legs falling off at all. Okay, and now for the Peach Samurai, you're just going to rotate his arms to the front and then just lower them on these double joints. Oh, and I forgot to take out, you got to take out this ab section for the gorilla. And that's basically, once you fold up the toes, and these feet are, I mean, these bottom feet are pretty terrible looking, but oh well. That's basically this robot all done. And then his articulation is same as the head articulation on the combined mode. And then surprisingly, his shoulders actually do not rotate. They could have easily worked in that joint, it's just not there. So he's only got kind of this articulation, which is not good. And then the standard articulation from the combined mode robot. So that's kind of unforgivable they didn't put a joint there. That really should have been there, because that really hurts his posing ability. And here's how Momotaro looks with his robot mode. Okay, for the demon sister here, you're going to rotate the heel down. You're going to rotate the robot mode legs down here. And then you can rotate these shoulder sections out and then up one click. You have to be careful because if you pull too hard, these arms will just pull right off. And then you're going to pull this head up as high as you can, and you're going to slide it back, rotate it around, and there you go. That's basically your demon sister right there. And here's how she looks with her suit figure. And then the head does have articulation, and that's all the articulation this figure has. So very old school. She does, on the premium version, this does rotate. These arms do rotate forward, but there's like a little bit of plastic here. You could probably just cut that off and then re-enable this arm articulation. So they kind of intentionally disabled it. Okay, the gorilla brother looked like this, so we're just going to use this clip here to clip that back in there. So that should put his body back together. And then you're just going to rotate his rear legs down. You're going to rotate his arms into more of a straight position, and then his knuckles down. And then his head is on this double ball joint right here, or a double hinge, I mean. And then finally, you're going to get the gorilla abs, and those are going to clip right here. Then he's got a ball joint neck, so that really helps with him looking in different directions. And then this shoulder is locked because his head is on that shoulder, and if you rotate it, his whole head is going to go with it. So really, he does not have this shoulder articulation. He does have the same articulation as the robot mode, nothing special there, and then clicks on the back leg. Okay, and then the suit mode with his robot mode, pretty good. And then dog brother here, you're just going to rotate the toe, which becomes the tail. You're going to rotate the hind legs, and then you just rotate the whole torso section, and that's him transformed there. And he's got these articulating legs, 3 clicks for the front legs, otherwise they pop off. And then he's got, I guess, tail articulation. You can swing back and forth. He can kind of wag his tail. And then no head articulation. Really missed opportunity to have the head pull forward and then be able to look around. So that's something I'd probably have to customize. And there he is with his suit figure. They look pretty good together. Okay, and then Kiji looks like this. So you're going to unfold the body section here. So these are clipped together, it's a little bit tricky. And then you fold the wings up. You're going to fold the head up on these hinges, and then there's half the body. You're going to do the same thing to the other side. And then these two bodies sandwiched together on these clips. And then a Kiji is a green pheasant. It's the national bird of Japan, if you were wondering. And then there's the tail right there. So you get that look. And then you put Kiji brother. And that's how he looks with his robot mode. So pretty cool. Okay, one thing I forgot is the samurai helmet does clip onto the back of Momotaro. It clips onto the back right here. And that mostly is gonna just hold in place. And then I pre-ordered this figure on Amazon, so I got this little freebie, which is for the role-playing gimmick, but I don't have that, so I'm not gonna show that off, but it's pretty nice. It was free, looks good. Alright, and here's the team all posed together. I think they look pretty great. This is just a really good looking group shot. And then we've been asking for articulated Megazords for decades, and we finally got one. I just hope that Bandai continues the trend and that this is the way things are going from now on, because this is just so much better than anything that's come out in the last easily maybe 15 years. This is just so good. The fun factor is definitely a 10. It's fun to just transform and play around with. The durability, there's a couple parts that tend to fall off, like her arms are kind of a problem, and then like his chest pieces can fall off pretty easily because they're just held in by clips, and then Donbrothers' legs tend to fall off if you don't transform it in the right order. There's a little bit of annoyance there, so the quality is probably a 9. It's not quite a solid 10, but it's very close. The plastic feels heavy and chunky. Everything feels really good. So I got this from Amazon Japan. This set, the robot was actually about $63 US, and then these figures were about $46. So a really great deal. Shipping was $50, so that really increased the price a lot. But I got the shipping in 9 days, which I think is really worth it for US. So if anyone's interested, maybe I'll post a video about how to do that. But I'll put the links in the description on where you can order these sets on Amazon Japan. All right, I'll see you next time.